Welcome to Beyond Bosch. I am your host, Jessica Dahl. If you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe and leave a review if you like this episode. Now let's get into it. Our next guest is a trailblazer. I mentioned to a few people that I was interviewing her, and every person's response was, "Oh, she's the best. Oh, that's awesome. I can't wait to listen." So I am very excited to welcome Uli Jaschek to the show. Welcome, Uli. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much. What an intro.
I mean, seriously, it was like everyone I talked to. So I was like, okay, I'm very excited about this episode. So, okay, you are the CEO of Bosch Automotive Workshop Services, which I believe that's an independent startup within Bosch Automotive Aftergroup. I'm going to have you tell a little bit more about that because I'm not super familiar. So can you share us, like, what does that mean? What are you working on? A little bit more about yourself.
Absolutely. So what is Bosch Automotive Workshop Services? Actually, we founded Bosch Automotive Workshop Services at the end of 2021. And since then, we've been building up a brand new team. We are 16 as of this Monday, a new company infrastructure, all of the contracts, and a really, really good value proposition. So essentially what it is, it's a Bosch Auto Service franchise for automotive independent workshop owners. The value proposition is built to provide support and our expertise for the workshops today, but also prepare them for the future in the automotive. If you consider all of the new technologies, the digitalization, all of those industry trends that we talk about, right? So you have to think about it. Our Bosch name will be on those businesses, making that the latest and greatest consumer-facing product that Bosch will have in its portfolio in the US. So it's very exciting. Consumers will be able to have their cars serviced and repaired with quality parts in a modern, fully branded Bosch facility. So we're very excited to launch this concept this year. Actually, in 2 weeks, we have our first launch event in Los Angeles because this concept will only be offered in California and Texas at the moment.
That sounds exciting. So you're in the midst. Thank you so much for taking time in the midst of preparing for a huge launch that's only 2 weeks away. I didn't realize that. So that's amazing. And you're located in Chicago right now. Is that right?
That is correct. I am living in downtown Chicago with my partner, James, and my 16-year-old cat, Romeo.
Oh, Romeo. Very sweet. So what brought you to Chicago? Was it Bosch or what brought you to the States?
So that's interesting. So I don't know why, but when I was 14 years old, I proclaimed to my parents that I'm going to move to the United States. And they said, why? We don't know anybody there. Like, why? I said, I don't know, but I want to go there. I really like the music. I always kind of like the Motown R&B, type of music, obviously influenced by movies and shows and things like that. And I always liked the English language. So I had said at 14, that's what I'm going to do. So it took me a little longer, obviously. When I started studying in Germany, in Reutlingen, I had the chance to go as an exchange student to Flint, Michigan in 2004. And so I went to Kettering and I really liked it. And so I ended up trying to come back for an internship right before my studies were coming to an end. So I did, and I ended up in South Bend, Indiana. From there, I finished my thesis there in sales controlling, and they offered me a job, but I said, I don't want to stay in South Bend. I really need to go somewhere else, something bigger. So I moved back to Michigan. So I was able to relocate to Farmington Hills and work there for a while. But my sight was always set on Chicago. So really, at the end of the day, I found an opportunity while I attended a training in Chicago in the aftermarket division. And I basically moved to Chicago end of 2008, which truly fulfilled a dream of mine, because when I visited for the first time in 2004, I absolutely fell in love. And I was like, this is the city I'm going to live in. So I did. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That's super inspiring. That, first of all, you had that desire at 14. Yeah. I mean, that's not like a small, leap. That's not like, oh, I want to work for this company, or it's like a giant life change. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So why? Like, did you feel inspired to be able to make such a jump and like change? And like you said, like you didn't know anybody over here,
yeah.
Like, what do you think kind of helped drive you? Was that just how you were born, or like?
Yeah, one of my aunts will say that's exactly what it is. Though I think so. My mom, was an au pair. She lived in Geneva. She lived in Spain, and then one of my aunts, she was an English teacher, so she studied in England, and she was always the world traveler. Would go to the coolest places, send me postcards, bring me stuff back, and she was always a big inspiration for me. And I just was fascinated by the big cities. Honestly, it was always like, oh my God, New York, Chicago, Los Angeles. It just was so different from what I know and where I grew up. I don't know. It's just really spoke to me. And then I think it's music. Honestly, I think the music kind of tied it all together. It was something that I really enjoyed, and that's just not, as big in Germany, obviously. So I don't know. I was fascinated, and it didn't disappoint clearly because I'm still here.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, okay, basically, getting back to kind of what you're doing now, the automotive workshop services, it sounds to me, if I'm understanding this properly, that it's basically kind of like a startup situation. Like it feels very much like that to me. And you're the CEO. Like that's awesome. How do you feel about that? How did this happen?
I feel great about it. Actually, it's still sometimes I pinch myself. I'm like, this is crazy because I don't view myself in those terms. When somebody introduces me that way, I'm like, okay.
Right.
But so how did I get there? I mean, I did different roles obviously throughout my career, but in 2012, I took on a role in a business improvement project for the automotive aftermarket. And one of the things we did there was to look at strategies. How do we build, the future strategies for automotive, especially on the aftermarket side? And it always centered around the automotive workshop. Because at the end of the day, that's where the parts go, that's where everything gets serviced. So how do we build business models that really, are sustainable for the long term? We had a program at the time called Bosch Car Service, which is not a franchise, but it was a license program. So I was introduced then, and I took over as the marketing operations manager for that program in 2014. So pretty much since then, I've been working in some sort of capacity with those workshops, trying to build out these programs. But because it wasn't a franchise, there's only so much you can offer or require, right? So for years, we kind of went back and forth. We had those discussions about franchising for a long time. We always said, no, it's too complicated, too much risk. Then, I added other things to my portfolio. I launched the extra loyalty program that we have now. And then I also took over some product specialist responsibilities for technical products. So I expanded my career, but always with one foot in the workshop concept side. I did take a step away from it for about a year and a half in 2020, but I came back in 2021 with the clear task to actually look back at the business case that was developed to see if franchising now makes sense. And that's basically what I did. So I came back 2021 in June, provided a new business case, different scenarios, and pitched the idea of the Bosch brand versus Bosch Car Service because that's different. And yeah, we got the approval and here we are. So we're moving forward.
I love that. So we're talking a lot about how, things have progressed for you, where you came from, what has inspired you, all of these really nice positive things. You've landed in Chicago, you're doing things that you always wanted to do. I'm sure it hasn't always been easy. I'm sure it hasn't always been without obstacle. I would love to hear from you. Maybe something that comes to mind of something you've had to overcome or an obstacle or something that just like sticks with you.
So I would give you two things, one maybe on the personal side and one on the business side. So personally, it was difficult because when I first moved to the US in 2007, my mom passed away unexpectedly. So that was a very tough kind of setback, if you will, because it was kind of right before graduation. And what do I do? Because they had offered me the job. Do I stay? Do I leave? Right? So there was like a lot going on. And I have to say that my manager at the time was amazing. She was like, just leave, just go home. Figure it out, tell me what you think, the offer stands. So I cannot say enough about having that opportunity. And I went home and I stayed for 3 months and I really thought about it. So I think for me, like kind of going back to, no, this is my dream and I can't do anything about the situation that happened. So I will come back. And I did. And I think it was certainly a difficult decision to kind of leave, my brother, my sister back and be like, okay, well, I'm still doing this. So I think that would be on the personal side, definitely something that shaped me. And then on the business side, I just said I took a break. Well, the break wasn't necessarily voluntary. Not what happened was they basically combined two positions into one. So basically the job was posted and it was me and another colleague. We both were qualified, right? He got it, I didn't. So it was a big blow for me because it's like workshop concepts, it was always my passion. It was my baby, right? So they took it from me in that way. And so I think it was disappointing at the time. And it really, like, I had to really pull myself together to get back motivated, because I still had a team, right? A different team. I still had to be that leader. I still had to be their champion. So I think that's also when I developed more and more passion, and Aaron knows this, on the diversity side. Like, I've always been part of that. So I really tried to put my focus back on the team. What can I do? How can I make a difference to come back to, the person that I am and being happy again, with whatever I had. It all worked out. Obviously, I learned from it. I'm stronger because of it, and I'm back at where I want to be. But it's kind of was a little setback, if you will.
Yeah, absolutely. So those who are listening who don't know Erin is our newly appointed Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer, and she's just fantastic. And I know, Uli, you and Erin have worked together closely. So on like that diversity angle, I wanted to touch on that too, because you're talking about the fact that you're, first of all, so much in leadership is dealing with your own stuff and then also everyone else's, and also your job. It's no joke to lead people. And I think you have, what I've heard, not knowing you personally until now, have been kind of one of those shining lights of example of allowing diversity in your team to be the thing that really helps maximize your efforts and your growth. And I'd love to hear a little bit more of your insight about that.
Yeah, I think, especially right now, I think having the opportunity to build a team truly from scratch, and that's what happened. Like, when you look at every single team member, we have 16 now, they were handpicked. They were decided upon because of who they are. It's, of course, their expertise, but because of who they are is always what I like to say, because you can learn a lot of things. And I have to say, we have like the most diverse group I've ever managed, and I'm very proud of that. We have different backgrounds, we have different ages, different cultures, like everything that you want, genders. And what I found is it's challenging, but in a good way, right? So we have lots of discussions. Yesterday, we were in the office and we were looking at our launch presentations, and we literally just kind of went at it and said, does this make sense? Should we do it this way? And everyone just came up with their ideas. And at the end, we actually changed a lot of stuff completely, but it was such a great experience. So I think for me, just being able to create that environment, to have everyone kind of bring their own self, who they are, their experiences, because I can't do that. I only have one experience. It's mine, right? So just taking that into consideration, it's great for team spirit. It's great for the product we build. And it's really good for our customers, because they all are different also, right? So whatever we're putting out, the more diversity you have, the better product you're actually going to put out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. How do you create an environment like that? Is it about being transparent? What is the...
I would say, yeah, being transparent, leading by example. I know it's a buzzword, but it's true. Like, really welcoming everyone, humbling yourself, being able to say, hey, I don't know. You are the expert. Tell me, help me, right? So I think just treating everyone the same. It doesn't really matter whether you have 10 years of experience, 1 year, or 15 or 20, whatever it is. Just treat everyone the same way. Make sure that their ideas are heard, and they're all good ideas, right? So we don't always agree, and that's okay. And that's the challenging part. That's what I like, right? So I may have a completely different viewpoint, but you are coming with something, and something better comes off of it, because now we compromise in the middle versus just being black and white.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good. That's really hard to live that way, though. I think you have to get to a point where you overcome that, the ego and all of that internally, for sure.
Yep.
Okay, so what is something that you're excited about looking at the future? You're about to launch this in 2 weeks. What are you pumped about? What are you proud of? What are you nervous about? What's going on?
Yeah, lots of emotion. I think that I'm very proud of the team and what we've built in a very short period of time, if you think about it, right? So we've only been founded really at the end of 2021, and here we are, not even a year and a half later, and we're actually going to market. So I think it's a lot that's been accomplished in a very short period of time. I'm extremely proud of every member, and I'm proud of the package that we're going to give. I think we're extremely excited now to finally talk to the customers, right? Because it's been great to do it internally and talk amongst the team, but now we really want to have that real life experience. So the launch event, will feature actual signage and things they can touch. So it's going to be a very fun event. So we're excited for that. And then seeing, what's the reaction? Like, what is the feedback? What's coming out of it? I don't know. And then the future, I don't know. I really don't know at the moment where it takes us. I hope that beyond us being successful, obviously, in this concept, I hope that for everyone in the team, it does, help them in whatever they want to do in the future. So kind of developing them on their path, because obviously we're all, again, different, and we may want to do different things after. So hopefully it sets everyone up for success. That's my hope.
I love that. That's awesome. And that's congratulations. That is exciting. That's a short amount of time to turn something to public. Yeah, for sure. So is there anything that you want to leave with the audience that maybe we didn't get to yet that you've been wanting to?
I kind of have to piggyback up on my profile because I always say like my quote, right? So this impossible is just an opinion. I really do live by that. It's not even just a corny statement. I think what I would say to most people is just honestly, just don't give up on your dreams. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, you'll have your setbacks or whatever, but I think keep pushing, listen to people, keep an open mind. And honestly, there's so many opportunities if you want them, just kind of go for them. I mean, really, you're in control at the end of the day.
That's wonderful advice. I love that. Uli, this has been so exciting and inspiring, and I can feel your passion and energy. And I want to have a follow-up episode once you've launched and you get some customer reactions. I'd love to hear that. I think that would be really interesting. And thank you so much for being here and taking the time to join us.
Thank you. That was really fun. And thank you so much for including me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for listening to Beyond Bosch Podcast. In case you missed our other episodes, now's your chance. Go back and take a listen.